think the Indian community, as far as I know it, has always looked at the security that it needs to provide for its family. And so the starting point never is it in self-indulgent for me to have wealth for myself, but actually, have I provided enough for my family? And so we start on a point where it's actually a contribution to the wider family. And most people who came to the UK from India in the decades gone came basically with a thought in their minds that they wanted to make sure that their families were economically prosperous here, but they certainly didn't forget that they had left family in India and wanted to also make sure that the families in India also received upliftment.
When we talk about high net worth Indians or high net worth individuals on a larger scale, Indians tend to, there's that sort of grudging respect and aspirational sort of element rather than envy or anger or, what are your thoughts on that? Would you agree?
We love inspiration, so we love inspirational figures. We love to see people do well, and it actually motivates us to be able to say that we can do it too. I'm not sure that we are a community of envy. What we tend to do, I think, is be a community that sometimes, if we're not able to achieve those same very successes ourselves, tend to look at others, perhaps with a little bit of green glint in our eyes. It led to the fact that the world of business was very male-weighted. It led to the where I felt that major decisions that were taking place, if I needed to walk in, and you might have noticed I'm not very tall, I'm quite a short-statured person, but I'm just gifted with a very loud voice. And when I used to have to go in and ask for business meetings, they tended to think that somebody else was going to follow on behind me. And so it was an interesting time. The 80s was a real good, interesting time for business, but it also was a time when things really started to shift. And you know, the power suits, I don't know if any of you remember the big shoulder pads, they appeared, and so I didn't get taller, but I certainly got wider. But it allowed us to be able to have an air of confidence. And it was that confidence that then spurred you forward to do a lot more.
I noticed this quote from one of your very early interviews, which said, "I accept the British political scene is far from perfect, but if you keep strong and focused, you really can make life better, whatever the color of your face." Now, with all these years of politics behind you, is that something you still would say again? And have things improved, do you think?
They're improving. I still believe that politics in particular is a space which is quite hard to crack. But you have to, you have to be of a particular type to go into politics. You can't be, you can't see it as something that's quick and is going to happen very quickly. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of determination. You get a lot of knocks on the way, and I don't think that matters what colour skin you are. I think you get lots of knocks in politics, full stop. It adds that you may be of colour or you may be a female.
Given the topic of discussion today about global wealth, about non-domicile tax status, etc., what are your thoughts on the election rhetoric? I mean, especially coming out from the Labour Party as well, which sort of got people's shackles up as well, about making certain sections of the global community feel unwelcome in the UK, would you think?
Look, let me concentrate on the rounded issue of the great strength this country has. It's a wonderful place to invest in. And countries from across the world, businesses from across the world, look at the UK as a real easy place for investment. It's easy to set up, it's easy to operate, and by and large, the tax systems here are very, very welcoming for most investors. So I think we should see it in the positive. I think that rather than me get into the rhetoric of the Labour Party today, what I would like to actually say is that we have seen growth. We are turning an economy that was on its knees, and it's been done because the great British public has taken the responsibility of making sure that this country comes back to where it should rightly be.
Indians, Asians being a nation of entrepreneurs, and many of those entrepreneurs who, when they arrived on British shores, had come with very little because they had lost a lot in various turbulence of partition, from the gamblers and other such unfortunate instances. When we talk about wealth, as you spoke about, as being security for their family, being survival, and then ensuring that they had enough so that they were never in that position again. Do you think some of the messages coming out, and especially with Aditi mentioning the forthcoming election, some of the messages being anti-enterprise, anti-aspiration, have not only put off some of the Indians within Britain themselves, but some of the investors who may be seeking to come in to the UK?
Well, I think that, I mean, I've been going around the country now since the election started, and I talk a lot to small businesses, and what the small businesses have said is that they want certainty, and I think that it's really important that we have a environment in which business knows that suddenly there are not going to be a load of upheavals, and no country can survive without actually the small and medium business sector. So there has got to be a clear signal that comes that we need to be pro-business in this country.
You mentioned about how Indians do tend to give back a lot as well. Now, from a philanthropy point of view, which is something you're quite passionate about as well, I mean, is it difficult to get money out of Indians sometimes when it comes to charity?
No, I don't. I honestly think that the Indian community is amongst the most generous community that we have, and we are very, very lucky that wherever they have settled globally, wherever they have settled, they have been able to contribute not just to the countries they have adopted as their homes, but actually look at the great work they're doing in their countries of origin. And you know, a lot of the good educational facilities that exist today have been funded by people who have left India and then put money back.